I am the Maven of the Eventide, and tonight we are here to talk about zombie movies, werewolf video games. I'm just kidding. It's vampire books. Were you surprised? I know I was. It's always vampire books. I bet I got you. So it's been a couple months since I made one of these videos, and I have acquired some new vampire books and stuff. I have also acquired stuff. It's great. These were sent to me to my P.O. box by you. Thank you to everyone who sends me vampire books and vampire-related things and letters. I love getting letters to my P.O. box. I'm not able to answer the letters, but I do love receiving them. If you would like to actually get answers from me and have a communication, you should join my Discord server, because I don't answer every message on there, but I am on it and I do talk, so you have a much better chance of actually finding me on there. That's also where I host my vampire book club. So if you like vampire books and you want to read some of these vampire books, because I have a lot of vampire books now and I really need to get on reading them, because, you know, life is hard. We're in quarantine. We're all sad. The ennui has taken us. Reading should be easy, yet it's not. So we made a vampire book club to read all these vampire books that are in my vampire library, as well as any other vampire books that you might want to suggest. The link to the Discord server is in the description of this video, along with a link that is to an Amazon storefront list of every single vampire book that's in my vampire library. You can't see it, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4 bookshelves in here, bookcases that contain nothing but vampire books. So I made a list because people are always saying, oh, I had to rewatch your video 3 times to write down the names of all those vampire books you said. Well, you should watch my video 3 times because that's good for me, but also I made a list to make it easier for you. And it's an Amazon storefront list, so you could actually buy the books from there, or you could just go find them wherever you like to buy books if you don't want to support Amazon. So what have we got tonight? This is The Devastation of Baal by Guy Harley, Space Marine Conquest, and it is a Warhammer 40,000 universe book. The Blood Angels chapter of Space Marines is under threat. Having obliterated all human life in the Red Scar region of space, the largest tendril of High Fleet Leviathan ever seen in the Imperium has converged and is making relentlessly for Baal. Oh no! To face this awesome foe, Commander Dante has called upon the successor chapters of the ancient 9th Legion, the Sons of Sanguinius. Sanguinius? Well, anything that has the word sanguine in it, you know is vampire related, because sanguine means blood. Because you know how the word sanguine means happy? It's because, you know, when your humors are in balance and your blood is at the right level, it makes you happy, I guess. So yeah, anytime something's called sanguine, it's blood related, and you know it's going to be vampires. Gather in numbers not seen since the dark days of the Horus Heresy. Horus, oh, that's ancient Egyptian there. 30,000 space marines stand ready to thwart the great devourer, save the homeworld of their Primarch, and prevent the consumption of billions in the Ultima Segmentium beyond. But the Tyranids swarm numbers in the trillions, and they are not the only danger to the chapter's future. As the galaxy slides towards a terrifying new era, events far away threaten to unleash a greater evil. A further enemy must also be overcome, that of the black rage that lurks in the souls of all the Sanguinius' bloodline. Can Dante, among the greatest of humanity's heroes, stem the unstoppable tide, or will his long reign as chapter master end with the extinction? Should Baal fall, the Imperium will be dealt a blow from which it might never recover. So, seems pretty par for the course for Warhammer universe novels, but, you know, I'm hearing about this Dante guy, and I'm like, okay, who is this guy? I don't know him. What's his deal? What does he want, other than to, save the universe? There's no, character in this summary. It is all plot. And what draws me into books is character. So I'm wondering, what's in this that's supposed to be speaking to me? Other than awesome space action fighting scenes, I suppose, and vampires? This is a 6-book set of the Vampirates series. Yes, they're vampires, they're pirates, they're vampirates. So this is a young adult series, you see it has really big font, even though these books look big. These are for children. Vampirates, Demons of the Ocean by Justin Somper. This is book 1. Totally original. These are ex-library books, so they need a little TLC, but I think I can fix them up, take these plastic covers off, get the covers underneath, get all these stickers off. It was funny, someone on my Discord server was asking me about vampirates, and then like the week later, these showed up at my P.O. box from a totally different person. So vampirates is in the air. Well, if pirates are bad and vampires are worse, then I pray that as long as I be, that though I sing of vampirates, I never one shall see. I wonder if that's supposed to be like a jaunty sea shanty, and I totally messed it up. Twins Connor and Grace never dreamed that there was any truth to the vampirates' shanty their father sang to them before he died. But that was before the two were shipwrecked and separated from each other. For Connor, who is taken aboard a pirate ship, there is a chance to learn to sword fight. But for Grace, aboard a mysterious ship of vampire pirates, the danger is great. The twins want to find each other more than anything, but their time is limited, and they're an ocean apart. See, that's character motivation that I'm interested in. That's like a people problem. And also, I'm assuming a lot of swashbuckling, fighting, and adventures. So, this book sounds like it's got it all. And, it has 5 sequels. Book 2, Tide of Terror. I'm guessing these are the twins, and she's looking like she's got some really awesome vampire powers here, so I guess spoilers. The back is just a quote from the book, so it doesn't have a summary. There's a summary inside, but usually summaries to sequels have spoilers, so I'm not going to read those to you. But we got Tide of Terror, Blood Captain. There's another library sticker there I gotta get off. Yeah, he's got like red vampire eyes. Black Heart. Ooh, there's a sexy looking vampire captain dude. I bet he's a bad guy. Oh, his name is Sidorio. Of course he's a bad guy. Or an awesome guy. Empire of the Night. Oh, this has a character named Cheng Li. Oh, I like that these aren't all just white people pirates. Good job, YA series. Immortal War. And these are all by Justin Sumper. Cheng Li is in this book too. Spoilers, he lives to the 6th book. Whoever he is. Thank you for sending these to me. They look really cool. This book is dedicated for the Nocturnals. Thank you for making this such a memorable voyage. No captain could ask for a more supportive crew. I guess the Nocturnals is like the fandom name for the Vampirates fandom. That's cute. I had honestly never heard of this series before, and then all of a sudden multiple people are talking about it to me, so I'm curious. These two go together. Which one's first? Book 2. Okay, so here's book 1. Unclean by Richard Lee Byers. The Haunted Lands, book 1. Good. You understand now. I'm not your beloved anymore. I am unclean. Foul, and a slave to creatures fouler still. Please, destroy me if you can. The realm of Fae has long been ruled by the uneasy peace of an alliance of wizards, but all along there has been one who believes he is the true master. And when that one wizard finally moves against his former allies, his homeland could only be the first of his conquests. I guess that's our character? Is he the one who's unclean? These are also former library books, and they were in science fiction, so that means they're adult, just even though it says fantasy up here, but you know how libraries do. Number 2 is called Undead. The Haunted Lands, book 2. You hate our masters, I understand, but you thrive in their service. You are undead. Even if it were possible for you to escape me, where is there a place for a creature like you? Where indeed? What started as one wizard's ambition to take over the ruling council has become a vicious civil war that breeds a monstrous array of undead. And while the undead have always been a part of life in Thay, after 10 years of constant battles, they have begun to outnumber the living. They look kind of like zombies on the cover, so I wonder if these are vampires that are more zombie-like, or if there are zombies and vampires. You know me, I'm always a fan of mixing zombies and vampires together, or if it's just a cover art stylistic choice. Oh, here's a letter someone sent me from Guam. More vampire children's books. Ma and Pa Dracula. Jonathan's parents are a little bit batty. By A.M. Martin, author of The Babysitter's Club. It's a very small children's book. Scholastic, reading level 4. Son of vampires. Jonathan always thought it was a little strange that his parents made him play during the night and sleep during the day like they do. And it is pretty odd that they wear capes and have long, sharp teeth. That's because Jonathan's parents are vampires. But now Jonathan wants to live like a normal kid, not like a vampire. He wants to watch TV and go to the video arcade and even have his friends over. So he plans a big Halloween party at his house. But oh no, what if Ma and Pa get hungry? Will they want to bite someone? Silly and undeniably macabre. The book is clever, wickedly funny, and has a valid message, says Cricus. I'm going to have to read this to my fledgling spawn. Count Dracula, a Gothic romance by Gerald Savory based on Bram Stoker's Dracula. Now, you would think in this case that Bram Stoker's Dracula is the book, Dracula by Bram Stoker, but no. It is the BBC mini-series entitled Bram Stoker's Dracula, which was an adaptation of Bram Stoker's book, Dracula. But this is a novelization of the BBC TV series. I talked a bit about that series in my video on the Lucies of Dracula, so if you're curious, you can check that out and you can see what I said about it there. The dark deeds of the Transylvanian Count Dracula have thrilled generations. In this dramatic retelling of Bram Stoker's immortal classic, Gerald Savory chronicles the momentous conflict between the forces of good and evil, as Professor Abraham Van Helsing, Dr. Seward, Jonathan Harker, and Quincy Holmwood confront the menacing vampire Count Dracula and his undead disciples. Of course, it doesn't even mention the women. Course. This was a kind of a more romantic version. It's a very well-liked version if you're looking for more accurate versions of Dracula to watch in film form. It's a 2-part miniseries, so it's kind of like an extra long film. Quincy Holmwood, you can see they combined Quincy and Arthur, and it's a very short book, so very condensed of the story of Dracula, just based on the 2-part miniseries. The fact that it's billed as a Gothic romance? Vampire, with a Y, by Michael Scott, who is the king of fantasy in these isles, says the Irish Times, so I guess those isles. At the heart of every myth, there is a truth. It begins with the gift of an ancient bone comb Robert gives his girlfriend Karen. In the days that follow, Karen's dreams are vivid and strange. She is haunted by images of a red-haired girl who dresses in the costume of a 15th century maid, but who terrifyingly seems to be aware of Karen. Her dreams become darker and wilder until there are times when she finds it hard to distinguish reality from fantasy. Is she dreaming of the red-haired girl, or is she seeing into the past? Robert becomes aware of the changes in Karen. He begins noticing subtle changes in her features, her bone structure, the slant of her eyes, the shape of her teeth. But it is only when he discovers the puncture marks in the crook of his arm that he realizes what Karen has become. A vampire. The vampire hasn't yet totally possessed Karen, and in the desperate race against time, Robert attempts to banish the creature, but he is pitted against one of the oldest enemies of mankind. Another children's, young adult, kind of middle grade-ish looking book. And the person who sent this to me said, like all good vampire books, it was written by an Irishman. I think they might be biased. Vampire Winter by Lois Tilton. For more than 100 years, he walked only by night. Now the night was endless. And from what I gather, this is about a vampire during a nuclear winter. So now, like, the sky is covered so he can go out during the day and just be like a free reign vampire in this apocalyptic post-nuclear wasteland. The tomb cracked. Kitteridge felt the shock deep in his vault an hour before dusk. The reinforced concrete walls cracked like eggshells. The steel door seemed to melt. Something was wrong, and he felt the heat that blasted past his tomb. The vampire tasted fear. In an hour, when the sun had set, he would emerge to feed and see what had happened. The vampire walked. What he saw stilled even his bloodlust. Chicago was a ruin, burning on the horizon. The destruction seemed total, but he had to find survivors. If no one lived, he would not be able to feed, and he had to avoid the flames flaring everywhere. He could feel the skin on his face blistering even at a distance, and fire was as deadly to him as the rays of the sun. The vampire needed shelter, and he needed blood. At the first farmhouse, he discovered both. And Kitteridge also discovered that he could hunt his prey whenever he wanted to, that all the hours of the day belonged to him, because whatever had happened when he last slept in the darkness of his tomb, the result for him was that the sun was blocked from sight. He would be the hunter both day and night, and the vampire was hungry. I hope Kitteridge has a character arc. I hope he's not just going around being hungry and surviving. I hope he has hopes and dreams and feelings. I really like the concept of this book, the whole nuclear winter thing. This is The Vampire's Witch, A Witch Between Worlds, Book 1 by Emma Glass. Doesn't have any description on the back, just the moon. A very cool looking moon. What a pretty cover. Does it have a description on the inside? No, it just starts. I can tell you absolutely nothing about this book, except that it has a very beautiful cover, which is very much my aesthetic. Look, there's a raven. As you can see, I like ravens. And a spiderweb, and a creepy tree, and a castle, and a sexy lady with great hair in a lace-up dress, and a moon, and bats. It's got it all. If the atmosphere in this book is anything like the cover promises, it's bound to be great. Now this one, I actually got for myself. This is the Vampire Companion. The official guide to Anne Rice's The Vampire Chronicles, circa 1995, because this is the completely revised and updated version. This is volume 2 of this, with entries for Memnoch the Devil, which was the 5th book in the Vampire Chronicles. And as we all know, there are now 13 odd books in the Vampire Chronicles, including the never-before-published short story that became Interview with the Vampire, which is mainly why I bought this book, and I have read that story, and it is weird. So it's very short. It's only like this long. And the vampire in it is ostensibly Louis telling the same story about how Lestat made him and how he became a vampire and lived his vampire life. But he's a totally different character, like complete different personality, different hopes and dreams, different wants. Lestat's totally different. He's barely in it at all. He makes Louis and then is later like, oh, I'm going to go travel the world now. Bye, you're on your own. And then Louis like just hangs out doing vampire things and being like a bitch and bloodthirsty and like loving it, which is, if you know Louis at all, that's not him. And the climax of the story is he takes out an entire mafia family because they pissed him off by being uncouth. Louis always has been a bit of a snub, I suppose. This, not to be confused with this, Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles in Alphabetary, which I've talked to you about before because someone sent this to me as a gift last year. And this came out after the latest Anne Rice book. So it's called an Alphabetary, which is kind of not a very vampire-y name, but just an alphabetical index of every single character and thing and concept in Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles for all 13 books and the witch books too. So kind of Anne Rice's entire shared universe between Vampire Chronicles and Mayfair Witches. And yet this book is so much better because this book's written without passion. Like, this book is very clinical, and it was written by her longtime assistant, who was really into her work, so I don't know how that happened. And it has mistakes, and I'm not sure if this book has mistakes yet or not, but, like, mistakes I could have fixed if they had asked me to beta read the book, or any Anne Rice fan, I'm sure. But this book is more like an annotated encyclopedia, again with, like, the listings of the names, but, like, so much more thoughts and analysis put into it, and the person who wrote it, like, had opinions and feelings. So I'm very excited to read this book and see how it compares to this book. And I'm sure between the two, I will get my ultimate Anne Rice vampire encyclopedic knowledge. This was written by Catherine Ramsland, author of The Witch's Companion, which I'm sure is similar but for the other universe. Written in cooperation with Anne Rice, so officially sanctioned. Now, with more than 1,200 entries, offers an insightful exploration, appreciation, and interpretation of all the characters and events, names, places, symbols, and themes in the 5 volumes of the Vampire Chronicles. Yes, you got so much more than what this little, like, wiki has. Not exactly vampire related, but someone sent me these and I love them. This is the Addams Family and Evolution, get it? And the Addams Family Half-Baked Cookbook culinary cartoons for the humorously famished. These are just the old Charles Addams classic Addams Family cartoons that the Addams Family TV show is based on. You know, before it was a TV show that then became a movie. Oh, and some of them are in color. This is such a gorgeous book. Thank you so much. Morticia Addams being one of my greatest inspirations. And this one is just all the food-related comics. And there's recipes. This is great. Speaking of comics, Vampirella! We have Vampirella versus Reanimator. Look how sexy she is. Vampirella Deja Thoris. Wow, she's even skimpier outfit than Vampirella. I didn't think that was possible. Full color comics. These are so gorgeous. And Hackslash versus Vampirella. Thank you so much for sending this to me. Do you like my shirt? My Raven shirt? I made it myself. Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. in these times of inside only, where we don't go out into the world because, we can't breathe. I sit around and read vampire books and make t-shirts, custom t-shirts. I didn't design it, but I made it from clip art. It's sparkly. Extraordinary X-Men, Volume 1, the Phantom variant. I haven't read it yet, so I cannot tell you how it relates to vampires and why someone sent it to me. I'll let you know when I have an update. Empire of the Dead graphic novel, George Romero's Empire of the Dead, illustrated by Alex Malieve. Zombies versus humans versus vampires. Sounds familiar. A quarantined Manhattan scrambles to keep the undead plague at bay, but the Big Apple is rotting from within. Not only do flesh-eaters still shamble through unclean areas, but the surviving zombies are also evolving, including the former cop Xavier, who knows that not even death can stop her from completing her work. Meanwhile, at Central Park's Circus Maximus, New Yorkers distract themselves with the bloody battles of zombie gladiators, unaware that another ancient predator lurks in the shadows. Will vampires prove as dangerous as their hungry counterparts? It's the undead versus the undead, with humans caught in the crossfire. Wow, that really does remind me of my book, The Company of Death. I'm sure it's not actually anything alike, but on brand for me, zombies versus vampires versus humans, and then some. Thank you for sending this to me. Oh, and this I also bought for myself. This is the Innovation adaptation comic of Anne Rice's The Vampire Companion. Vampire Companion being this thing that I was just talking about a minute ago. I'm like, how do they adapt an encyclopedic book of vampire wiki info into comic books? Is it going to be like illustrations of all the characters? I was so excited to see this, right? And this was made after the comic book versions of Interview with the Vampire Lestat, Queen of the Damned, and Tale of the Body Thief were all made, and I have all those comics. So, I don't know, I didn't know what to expect, but you know what it turned out to be? Not that at all, but like a making of the comics. So it's not to do with that Vampire Companion, it's a companion to the comic books, and it's got interviews with the artists and writers, a lot of, articles, very few actual art in here, mostly just like talking. Look at this cover. Yeah, there's Anne Rice, there's a Stat, there's a Kasha. That doesn't look like the way Louis drawn in the comic, so I don't want to say it's him because it's not. And I don't want to say that's Gabrielle because she's never drawn that way either, but who even knows? And then this one, who is that guy? I don't know. The thing about the Anne Rice Innovation comics is you can tell some of them were drawn by someone who actually really cared to either learn about the source material or who had already been familiar, and they just got that love, and the characters just look perfect and gorgeous in some issues because, like, in a 12-issue series that covers one book, there'll be maybe the first 4 issues done by one artist, the next 4 by another artist, and so on. And then you can tell the ones that just did not care about accuracy or beauty at all, and some of the art is very not pretty. And comics don't have to be pretty, but a big part of the appeal of Anne Rice vampires is how beautiful they are. Not just the people, but the settings, the scenery, the paintings of the backgrounds should all be just gorgeous because that's the aesthetic. And some of them aren't, but some of them are. So take it for what it is. I was kind of disappointed by what this turned out to be. I'll probably read them, and maybe then I'll feel better about all the information I will have learned and gained. But it was not what I was hoping it would be. Well, on to some stuff. Someone sent me a mask, so I'm not going to put on right now because I don't want to get lipstick all over it. But it's got sparkly spider webs and purple sequins. Thank you. It matches my sparkly purple Raven shirt. Vampire playing cards. They're vintage vampires. So I'm thinking like all classic vampires I've heard of, right? So let's see here. So the Joker is unnamed. Kind of a vampire lord looking guy. I don't know, maybe he's supposed to be Dracula. Other Joker, sexy vampire lady. And we got Jack of Clubs is Lord Ruthven, who we discussed when we talked about Polydori's The Vampire with Y. Queen of Clubs is Carmilla, who we also discussed recently when we read the entire Carmilla on this channel. King of Clubs is Sava Savanovic, and he is one hideously looking vampire, and I don't know who he is. I need to find out who this guy is. Is he from classic literature, like Ruthven and Carmilla? I'm guessing he probably is, but not one that I've read. I've got learning to do. King of Hearts is Dracula himself, but he's a very sexy looking Dracula with like long flowing locks of hair. He doesn't look like book accurate Dracula at all. He's got a bat. Yeah, he's got a little bat friend. It's cute. Queen of Hearts is Lucy Westenra. She's got a doll, because I guess she's gone childlike. Very sexy vampire. Jack of Hearts is Wilhelmina Harker, who is not a vampire, except she's got fangs here, but she's also carrying a stake, so I'm not sure what message they're trying to tell us about her. Is this like a headcanon where she's turned into a vampire by the end, like in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, maybe? King of Diamonds is Count Orlok. We all know him. We talked about Nosferatu several times on this channel before. Queen of Diamonds is Lenore. And I don't know if there's a vampire in classic literature or film called Lenore. I do know that Lenore is the name of the maiden in the original Death in the Maiden poem that I love so much that we talked about when we were talking about Dracula's Guest with the quote, "The dead travel fast," from the poem called Lenore. Old German poem. But I don't know if that's who this vampire lady's supposed to be. She's holding a skull, so maybe that's like the Death in the Maiden thing, but why do they interpret her as a vampire? Has she been in an adaptation where she was turned into a vampire, or is this an entirely different Lenore? Is this Edgar Allan Poe's Lenore? One of his two Lenores? Who knows? If you know which Lenore this is supposed to be, like an actual vampire Lenore in some kind of canon, please let me know. I have much to learn. And the Jack of Diamonds is Boris Liatukin, who's very Eastern European looking, or maybe Turkish. And I also have no idea who he is. So if you know, let me know, please. I feel very out of touch with my vampire facts. I gotta play more vampire playing cards. Thank you for sending these to me. Also received Vampire with a Y, Hearts, a trick-taking game in a beautiful coffin-shaped box with a shiny gold filigree. Instructions are shaped like a coffin. It's got a pack of cards and a poker chip. The poker chip has an atomically correct heart on it. And these cards have bats on the Joker. Oh. Just like pretty illustrations of vampires. There's the vampire queen. Ooh, she's got a rib cage. That guy looks like a slayer. These are so pretty. Thank you for sending these to me. These are gorgeous. I just want to play with the cards. I don't even know how to play Hearts. It's time to learn. I have coffin-shaped instructions, which looks like a very Castlevania Alucard on it. He's got giant bat wings. If only I had some friends to actually play card games with. It's because of quarantine, you know. I can't see my friends, all those friends I do have that I would play card games with. That's the reason. Vampire Blood Shea Butter Hand Cream from Bath & Body Works. Will this make my hands smell like vampire blood? It smells fruity. It smells like berries. Very fruity. I will be oh so silky soft. This is art that someone drew and sent to me. They didn't send it to me framed. I framed it because I'm going to hang it on my wall right over there. This is Lily Munster. She is a vampire. She wears a pretty lavenderish pink dress. I'm sorry if it's reflecting, if it's hard to see, but it's really adorable art. Thank you so much for sending this to me. It's going on my wall. And lastly, I got this Elvira Funko Pop. Look, she's on her famous couch and she's reclining and she's so sexy and so cute. It's a Hot Topic exclusive. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Deluxe Funko Pop. Thank you so much for sending this to me. I'm gonna take her out of the box. Is that sacrilege? Look at her on the back there. Did you know that Elvira retweeted me on Twitter recently? Like a couple weeks ago? Senpai noticed me. Look at her. I have a little coffin-shaped shelf up there that you can't see, but she's going to go right in that coffin-shaped shelf. She's going to fit perfectly in there. Thank you so much. So yeah, I tweeted, not at Elvira, but I tagged her in this tweet because I had a dream about her. Because, you know, as you do. And in this dream that I was having about Elvira, she made me breakfast. She was frying up some eggs, and she made them for me, and it was great. We had a wonderful time. So I tweeted that I had this dream about Elvira, that she made me breakfast, and it was amazing. And then she retweets it, laughing, saying, like, I spent all these years telling people to have unpleasant dreams, all to be ruined by one tweet. Yes, Elvira, I have ruined your unpleasant dream wishes. Thank you for noticing me. That was fun. That was a nice day. And thank you for sending me this Funko Pop. I don't have many Funkos. I've got this one, my Morticia Addams Funko. I got my tiny mini Elvira one that came in her Funko Pop cereal that I had. And I have a Phantom of the Opera Funko Pop. That is my entire Funko Pop collection. So they are in good company. Thank you so much to everybody who sends me vampire things, vampire books, who joins my vampire book club and reads the vampire books with me. You guys are amazing. I'm I'm trying to think of a spooky word for happy. Is happy a spooky emotion at all? It's great that we have built this spooky community of vampire fans on the internet and that we can all like nerd out together over vampire stuff. If you want to send me something, that's a thing you can do. The address is in the description. Otherwise, leave me comments with suggestions for things that I can add to my wish list and stuff, because I'm always just collecting lists, making suggestions. Have I shown you these earrings before? They're the Raven book earrings, which were sent to me as a gift like last year or the year before that I've had and I rarely get to wear. But I thought they matched my shirt. This shirt, which I made, it says Nevermore. Yeah, I'm going to make more shirts. Oh, I made a shirt that said Good Evening in the font that I always use. It's great. It's a reference no one will ever get except me. What other shirt should I make? Give me shirt ideas, spooky Gothic t-shirt ideas that I can make in this fashion. And if I like your idea, I will make it and I will wear it in my next video. And that's what we're doing now. That's where we're at in quarantine. I hope you're all staying safe and, wearing your spider web masks. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, happy reading and good night. Pleasant dreams of Elvira making you breakfast. And yet not a single person responded to that tweet like, oh, because you were still there the next morning, that's why she was making you breakfast? Missed opportunity. But yes, it was a very wholesome dream.